Not tonight.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, board members. We present this evening a ZA 1320 on your docket. We're getting down the list here. This is a request that has been filed by Dague Communities, Inc., being represented by Attorney George Rosenzweig. He'll be on here later. This comes under our Article 23 front yard setback. This location is Lot 113, Northgate Preserve, 321 Daniel Drive. If I could take you to this site, you've seen a couple of these over the last year or so. Contractor is looking to build a home for a family, and in doing so, starts moving along. And prior to getting the permits and getting everything measured out, they find themselves a few feet over the front setback. Unfortunately, Mr. Dague thought that there was an administrative process that we could come before and go to the staff and get that handled. However, there is not under our ordinance, so that's why the request is for you this evening. Again, we have a home. We'll take you to the site. Photos that we have from our team as well as the applicant showing the encroachment. Again, this is toward the front in this community, coming in 3 feet on the front yard setback. Let's take you through these. As you know, Mr. Chairman, Ms. Eschman spoke to the fact that when we're looking at variances, we're going through the 7 factors, and in this process, obviously, we had some failure to follow proper construction permitting procedures, so we could have caught this earlier. As I mentioned, number 2, applicant advised thoughts regarding administrative procedure would allow him to continue work, and then he could then come in when all was said and done and wrap that all up. And again, the structure has been, as you can tell, dried in without proper permitting. At this time, we do have a stop work order on the site, and Mr. Dague has stopped operations on the site. Staff did allow, this was going on a lot during the rain season, and staff did allow a tarp to be placed over the top to prevent any future damage to the site. Again, as we come before that, noting the front yard setback exceeding the 3, building department needs to, all the regulations related there, and then the stop work order therefore being released. And then we are submitting this as we have followed suit with the Board of Commissioners in the past, where they have come before you, in which there would be a penalty equal to the building permit that would be owed to the county for the total of $3,390. If it is your pleasure to recommend that to the Board of Commissioners. And again, this is simply a front setback reduction. I'll take you back to the site. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer those. As I said, the applicant has a PowerPoint, and I will be facilitating that here shortly. But are there questions for staff?
Any questions? Thank you. Oh, no, sorry.
Okay.
We're no questions. We're ready.
Applicant representative, Attorney Rosenzweig, are you with us this evening? If you'll do *6 to be, so we can hear you.
Mr. Rosenzweig, are you with us? *6. You are showing someone online?
Yes, that became updated.
Hello?
Mr. Rosenzweig?
Hello, can you hear me?
Who do we have?
Oh, hello. Kind of interesting with the switchover with the star 6. My name is Sean Daigle. I'm one of Corey Dague's customers. My address is 204 Sparrow Court.
What one?
Can't quite see it
Excuse
from the
me.
map, but officially or technically I would be across the street
Sir?
from the...
Sir?
Hello?
Oh,
Hey.
hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Sure. So we had
Can
someone that
you all-
wanted to make a comment that came on a little before we were waiting to get Mr. Rosenzweig. Mr. Rosenzweig, if you could
Oh,
go ahead and share from the applicant at this point.
All right, are you able to hear me at this point?
We are, sir. Thank you.
All right, thank you all. I'm sorry, among us being a dinosaur and uncoordinated, I completely messed up the system, so I apologize. This is George Rosenzweig. I'm representing the applicant here, Corey Dague Communities. The first slide that you see has an elephant down in the corner, and really the elephant in this room is that Corey started building before he should have. He jumped the gun. I do, though, think that we have a legitimate variance case, and it's not dependent entirely on the hardship of starting to build. Could we go to the next slide? Slide number 2.
Yes, sir.
This is the house that's going to be completed on the property. And as we evaluate this tonight, I think we should also consider Don and Roxanne Dorman. They've purchased this house. They've sold their house. Mr. Dorman is serving his country. He's about to be deployed to New Mexico with the ATF for several months. Ms. Dorman is a flight attendant. They're juggling a lot of different things, and this house and getting it constructed and completed is very important to them. Next slide, please.
Okay. Slide 3 is showing.
Slide 3. This shows, and we're going to show you from different perspectives where the encroachment is on this corner of the property. It isn't really the front of the house as one would think of it. It's the side of the house. Next slide, please.
Slide 4 showing.
Sorry, there's a little bit of a delay between, here we go. Now, this shows the encroachment if you measure perpendicularly from the drive, and you'll see that this is a curved drive. There isn't a side setback as such. There isn't really a definition of the measurement in the code, and actually, if you were to measure perpendicularly from the house, you'd have enough of a setback. But Corey and I do acknowledge that this would extend over the subdivision setback line, but it is a very close call as to the corner that's over the building line. Slide 5, please.
Slide 5 is showing.
Now, slide number 5, what we're showing on that is a zoom in on the area of the encroachment. And this is what we're seeking the variance for. Slide 6.
Slide 6 is showing.
I took this photograph myself, so you can laugh if you think it's inadequate, but what I'm trying to do here is show the slope of the lot as we develop what a limited area there is to build on this sloping site. Slide 7, please.
Slide 7 showing.
Slide 7 now, we're showing a zoom in on the encroachment area. And again, I'm on Daniel Drive taking this photograph. Slide 8, please.
Slide 8 showing.
Slide 8 shows, I've taken this from the street, showing the encroachment is not visible from the lot next door. Slide 9, please.
Slide 9 showing.
What I'm showing in slide 9, I'm standing on the foundation of the lot next door. What we're showing is the slope between lots 113 and lot 112. Because of the challenging soils on lot 112, the septic system for lot 12 needed to be located on the lot 113 side. Could you go to slide 10, please?
Showing.
So this shows where the drain field is on lot 112, which necessitated scooting lot 113 as far to the west as possible in order to minimize the drainage onto the lot field, the drain field on lot 12. Slide 11, please.
11 showing.
Now, this is a bad situation. There have to be consequences. We understand about rules. We understand why setbacks exist. We understand why the county has and is enforcing these rules. But we wanted to look with you at the application criteria for a variance. The reasons for not conforming: this is a challenging lot on a substantial curve. There's very limited location for the home site. There are difficult soils in the way of extraordinary conditions. Adjoining lot 112 has its own problems with topography, soil, and septic system. And in mitigation, this is small scale. It's undetectable to the naked eye. I guarantee you, if you went out there with me, it's an optical illusion. When you look at it, it just doesn't look like this side corner would be a setback problem. We self-reported this to the county. I reported it to the county attorney, which resulted in a stop work order. Work has been stopped and delayed on the property since February 4th. And this was not intentional. Now we have the advantage, kind of like sports and a slow motion replay, but in what the things that Corey could have done. But in real time, he had a crew on the property. They changed the plans at the last minute. The foundation survey hadn't come in yet. It went to the county. It was a day or two before they heard back. And in the meantime, this site was improperly filled in without a building permit, which shouldn't have happened. But this wasn't an intentional flaunting of the county rule. If you'd go to slide 12 for me, please.
Slide 12 showing.
The zoning ordinance sets forth objective criteria for a variance, and we believe we check all the boxes. Granting a variance will not adversely affect health or safety. It won't injure property values. It won't injure infrastructure. It's suitable to nearby property. We have substantial support and no opposition from neighbors. There are special circumstances, the shape of the lot, topography, and soil. There will be unnecessary hardship if this isn't granted, and we think that the proposed solution of paying a double building fee for the building permit, an extra almost $1,700, is a fair solution under these bad circumstances. Slide 13, please.
Slide 13 showing.
Corey immediately apologized to Coweta County. You'll see his written apology. He's a very good man. He is a good builder. He values his integrity, not just for this project, but somebody who the county thinks will do the right thing. And he accepts full responsibility and sincerely apologizes for what happened. And I suspect he's on the line. In a minute, he'll have a chance to speak. Slide 14, please.
Slide 14 showing.
It's my understanding that many neighbors have written in support. This one I have up is from Adam Banks, who lives at lot 115. He supports the variance. Slide 15, please.
15 showing.
This is Chuck Hall, lives across the street. He supports the variance. Lot 16.
Showing.
Slide 16, sorry.
Showing.
Robert Goen, across the street, or I'm sorry, a few houses down, supports the variance. And then slide 17.
Showing.
17 and Ms. White, if you'd go to 18 also. This is email from Don and Roxanne Dorman, who purchased this almost $450,000 house, expressing to you their support and their hardship. We have a man who's being deployed in the service of his country. We have a wife who's doing her best to keep her job afloat. They've sold their house. They want this house, and they're hoping you will grant the variance tonight. Slide 19. So in conclusion, this is a bad situation. There's just no way around it. These rules are important. I don't believe that Corey Dague set out to flaunt or thumb his nose at the rules. When we found out what had happened, we reported it. He has sincerely apologized. This project has been delayed for almost 2 months, and it'll be over 2 months before the commission rules on it. And we're hoping that you will follow the suggestion tonight and not be like the Queen of Hearts and cut off Corey's head on this project, but rather accept his apology, accept the Dorman's request, let him pay a heavy fine, and grant him his variance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rosenzweig. Okay. At this time, is there anyone on the line who would wish to speak?
Yes, I'm Corey Dague. Can you hear me?
We can. Thank you, sir.
Guys, I hate that we're having to do this. I feel like such a heel. I've been building since 1998 and would offer you could call any homeowner I've ever built a home for in that time frame, and would be perfectly fine with you having a discussion about the process and the relationship. I just messed up. You know, I've been building Northgate Preserve now for, I guess, right at 3 years. And you guys know the permitting process. Please don't think that I just went in there and started without any paperwork whatsoever. I had my BMP set. We had our foundation permit. I had a framing crew set to start the same day that we went to purchase the building permit. And we get all of our houses staked by Tim and Randy. So I'm not just on a wing and a prayer here. We're very conscious about what we're doing. In this particular case, we had a house called the Mulberry. Already Tim had staked it on this piece of property. And then as a spec home, the Dormans selected a different home called the Jared, which is much wider. Well, it just happenstance, the perfect storm, the front left stake, which is where we encroached, the loader man had knocked it down when he was finishing up the grading. So I was moving too fast, laid the house out anyway, based on the stakes for a different house. And when we went to purchase the permit, Brittany said, your foundation survey's not in yet. I was like, no problem, Tim will bring it over. I mean, this is, you know, the same thing we've been doing for almost 3 years. As far as Tim taking the foundation survey and there being no problem because he staked all the houses. And, well, Tim had not done the foundation survey when I called him that day. He had just not done it yet because he was too busy, hadn't gotten to it yet. So it was almost 3 days before he did that foundation survey and turned it in. And so he called me and said, Corey, you're not compliant here. We were 60%, 70% done with framing the house. So, I just wanted to puke because I've been building this long and I've never, ever, ever been in this situation. Never. So I immediately tried to contact Ben Sewell. As you know, he's a very busy man too. It took him almost 2 days to get back with me. I thought for sure we could just do a variance administratively, and we couldn't. So, and then I just didn't know what to do. So that's when we contacted George and began this process. And I immediately sent letters to the building department, to community development, to engineering, sent an email to everybody immediately, apologizing and telling them this was 100% my fault. There's no one else to blame. It's not Tim McLean. It's not Randy. This is me stepping in my own stuff. And I didn't know what else to do. So here we are. The house has a tarp on it. I think you'll hear from a few happy homeowners that have been very gracious and not complaining or getting all over me about this eyesore in the middle of the subdivision with a tarp on it amongst all these beautiful homes. But I have definitely learned my lesson about moving too fast, and because I've never been in this situation before, I didn't realize what kind of mistake it was until I made it. So, again, I apologize that you guys are having to even take the time to go through this, but it is 100% my fault. And I will face whatever consequences need to be. I love building in Coweta County. I have a great relationship with Tina and Brittany and Dana, and all the folks down there, and I feel like they think a lot of me because I pride myself in doing things the right way. But in this instance, I screwed up.
Thank you.
I would love to keep building in Coweta and continue the relationship that I've started with all these folks.
Thank you for your, thank you for taking the time to explain that and to share that with us. So at this time, to keep things moving, we're going to ask if there's someone else on the line who would like to speak.
Mr. Chairman, while we're waiting for anyone to speak, if I might just go through a list here. I've got quite a few emails. Some, I believe, were mentioned in Mr. Rosenzweig's presentation.
Right.
I have an email from, I picked up the wrong stack. I apologize. I have an email from, obviously, the Dormans. I believe this is the same one you saw up, respectfully asking for the variance. I have one from Lisa Miller Bamford, asking to support. She is in lot 127, almost adjacent across the street, and we want to express we have no objection to this small variance. And she goes on to speak as to his building in the Northgate area. I also have one from a Matt Luzinski. He does not speak to where he's at, but he just says they live in the Northgate Preserve and fully support. Mr. Banks, I believe the attorney read that. I have another one from him as well in support of the variance.
Okay. Thank you. We will, do you have anyone online, Mr. Amison?
Do we have anyone joining us that would like to speak to this on ZA 1320? If you will just do *6 so we can hear you. *6.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Go right ahead.
Okay. My name is Millie Smith. I am a homeowner, and I don't know if my email was shared. I was late getting in, but we wanted to express our support of the small variance. We live at 274 Daniel Drive.
Thank you so much for expressing your support. Is there anyone else who would like to make a comment? Once again, *6.
Yes.
Go right ahead.
My name is Stephen Walker, and I actually represent Corey Dague in regards to being the realtor for the community. And I won't repeat everything that he already said along with the attorney, but I think it speaks to his credibility when all of these amazing homeowners are willing to send in notions as well as speak on his behalf. I've been in the business 19 and a half years and have worked with a lot of different builders, and it has not always been this way. So it certainly attests a lot to his integrity and his ability, and we certainly want you to speak in favor of this. In regards to the fees, in light of what we're dealing with right now, it would be nice and gracious for you to consider those not to be the normal if at all possible. But again, we do appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Anyone else? Anyone else on the line, Mr. Ames?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Appears there's other people that may want to speak. Once again, as we've said in the other cases, if someone's covered what you've said, you don't have to reiterate. You can just say you're in support or opposition due to things that are mentioned previously. Anyone? Just hit *6.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can.
Hi, my name is Sean Daigle. I jumped the gun at the beginning. I
No
guess started
problem.
looking for the lawyers. My phone was kind of skipping a little bit. I was just real antsy to get out here and show my support for Corey Dague as a builder and as a man. His integrity is, I'd say, unmatched. You don't really find that in many builders. He recently completed a home for us in December of 2019. I had heard horror stories about building and experienced zero of that with Corey. Any issues that we had during the build were taken care of quickly and honestly, and it was the whole process was really great. So I just wanted to speak on behalf of his integrity. And as I mentioned earlier when I called in, I'm across the street from the house at the adjoining lot. From my front porch, you can see where it the encroachment. I can make out the lot, but you can't see the encroachment. It's so small, and it's nothing that we wouldn't have absolute support for Corey at all. So just want to show support of the variance, and just have that be noted as well as my email. I don't know if you got that as well, but it was also very much support for Corey Dague.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anyone else have anything they would like to add differently than what's already been given? Anyone else on the line, Mr. Emerson? We've had several emails so
I
far.
believe that's all.
That's
Mr.
all?
Chairman.
Okay. All right, do I have a motion? Well, Mr. Rosenzweig, we really didn't have any opposition for a rebuttal, if you're okay with that.
No, when you give a lawyer a chance to speak, it's dangerous, but I don't have any rebuttal, no.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a motion to close public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your hand. It is Sherry?
That's right.
It is unanimous with Sherry on the phone. Okay, any discussion? We've had these before.
Done his mayor's office.
I appreciate his humbleness and his seemingly sincere upbeat. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that was very much appreciated, I think, everyone. Do I have a motion on this?
I move that we grant the variance with the conditions set forth.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. We have a motion and a second on this with the conditions. All in favor, raise your hand. Sherry?
My hand is raised.
It is unanimous. Thank you all.